Not so long ago, those living with HIV faced a daunting journey filled with stigma and limited treatment options and uncertainty about the future. But today, those aging with HIV talk about resilience, how medical advancement brought hope, and how they emerged to be champions. The first case of HIV was reported in Kenya in 1984. For those who tested positive, their days were numbered. Many had to bear the brunt of stigma and isolation from family and friends. Most children became orphans, women were widowed. But there's a group of people who were diagnosed with the disease in the early 90s, lived the challenges, and are now aging with the virus. Karen Omanga from Limuru is 58 years old. She's married and a mother of 6.
Nilipoenda kupimwa ilikuwa mwaka 2004. Nikaenda nikapimwa nikapata niko na virusi, lakini sikumwambia yoyote. Nikaenda nilipimwa, sikuamini, na nilipimwa mara karibu 5. Natoka sehemu moja naenda sehemu nyingine kwenda kutafuta ukweli, lakini baadaye kabisa mwaka 2006 ndio nikaanza kumeza madawa.
She says it was not an easy journey, especially for a mother like her.
Ndio wakati ambaye mtu huwa anajiuliza maswali, kwa nini mimi, nilipata wapi, nilipata lini, na ni kwa nini. Tena sisi kama wamama unaanza kufikiria watoto wako. Wakati huo mimi nilikuwa na watoto wadogo, watoto ambaye walikuwa katika primary, wakubwa wawili ndio walikuwa wameshamaliza, wako in high school, lakini wale wengine wote walikuwa primary. So ilikuwa wakati mgumu kwangu. Uweza sasa nikikumbuka wakati huo, naangalia sasa, naona watoto wangu nitawalea namna gani, kwa sababu wakati ule ilikuwa ukipatikana uko na virusi, wewe unajua tu the next thing ni kifo. Lakini nashukuru Mungu kwamba wakati nilianza madawa, nimemeza madawa vizuri na nikaweza kuishi vizuri mpaka saa hizi niko na wajukuu.
But aging with HIV comes with its challenges.
Wakati unakuta mtu anashikwa na magonjwa tegemezi, magonjwa mengi, utakuta ugonjwa kama wa hypertension, high blood pressure, low blood pressure. Unakuta saa zingine, unaona nimevaa miwani, unakuta saa zingine sight inakuwa iko na shida kwa wale ambaye ni wazee. So ni vizuri sana kama sisi wenye ambaye tunaishi na virusi, wakati tunakuwa na uzee, unajua pia hata kama hauna virusi, unakuta kinga yako inarudi chini. Na virusi kawaida huwa inarudisha kinga chini. So kama hauwezi kumeza madawa yako vizuri, kinga yako itaambukizwa zaidi na itarudi chini zaidi.
Julieta Nyagothie from Laikipia County has been living with the virus for 26 years now. She's currently 66 years old.
Sema wewe uko na virusi, unatengwa na kila mtu. Na jambo lingine ni kuoneshana kidole, yani kunyoshewa kidole na watu. Ukipita watu wanasema unaona mama wa ukimwi. Na hiyo haikunisitua mimi, lakini nilisema nitaendelea na mbele kuhubiri maneno ya HIV ili watu wengi wajitokeze na tuunge support group ili tuweze kupata kuelimishana, tupate kukunywa madawa.
Ulipimwa ilikuwa mwaka gani?
Mimi nilipimwa mwaka wa 2000. Na nilipopimwa nikakosa madawa sababu na nyuki haikuwa madawa. Nilikaa mpaka 2004.
She attests to how the HIV landscape has improved, from limited access to drugs to now having to take only 1 tablet daily compared to before when one used to take 3.
Ni kwamba nilianza madawa nikiwa na CD4 8. Chini sana. Sasa hivyo nilikuwa mtu nusu na maiti nusu. Lakini nilipofuatilia nilikunywa madawa na maisha ikawa imeendelea mzuri.
Hapo before madawa ulikuwa unagonjeka.
Sasa vile mtu anaendelea kuseeka na bado anatumia hii dawa, kuna dawa unatumia inakuletea side effect. Mpaka uende kwa daktari umwambie hii dawa inakuletea side effect ndio ubadilishwe hiyo madawa. Halafu tena kuna mashida inatukuta kama arthritis, kama mambo ya tuseme hii mambo ya kuchikwa na hii ugonjwa high blood pressure.
Dorothy Onyango has also been living with HIV for years now. She is the CEO of Women Fighting AIDS in Kenya. She was diagnosed with HIV in 1990, and now it has been 33 years with the disease. She says in the 90s, HIV stigma was high and no treatment was available.
Leaders, we put ourselves together as a group of women living with HIV, and we managed to have like support groups on counseling one another, talking to each other, just sharing our experience, because then there was no medication, and the medications that were there were very expensive, so we could not afford that. So I think for me, I can say I lived positively for 15 years without taking medication. Just taking anything that somebody says, because of desperation.
She even went to the extent of drinking her own urine in an attempt to cure HIV, but all was in vain.
That somebody says, because of desperation, you would take anything that you are told. I took Cameron, I took Pal Omega, I actually took my urine because I attended a meeting in Japan, and some Indian presented that he takes his urine in the morning, and that every morning he goes with a glass to the bathroom and he takes that first urine. So because of desperation, when I came back home, I also tried that, but I couldn't. I think I tried twice or thrice, and I said no.
But through the difficulties, there was a breakthrough. She founded WOFAC, which started as a group of women living with HIV coming together to support each other, to now an organization supporting women across the country.
Itself has been read by so many people who cannot come out and talk about their status, and my aim was that I share it with all those people outside there who are not able to come out, and also who are in denial, so that they know that they are not alone and that they can also be supported.
For the men, the fight was almost similar, full of stigma. But in the advent of medication, all has been well.
Some drugs that were not so friendly to us, they even came up with what you are calling the itching effect. There was a drug called Sidaftil that came up with a lot of side effects. For women, it could make a hunch, it will squeeze their lower limbs, it will do what? And for men, it could, mess up with your face, how you look like. You could look like a very old person when you are still too young. But fortunately, along the line, it was discovered and it was taken out of that system. Then there was what we were calling triimmune, a combination therapy that worked with nevirapine. But this one took us for a very long time. And this sometime around, was it 2018, 2017 thereabouts, is when they changed it to DDG.
On people living with HIV who are growing old is because of the multiple challenges they encounter and face. Amongst them, lack of finance for good nutrition, lack of reactive drugs, stigma and discrimination, lack of reactives for medical tests.
The men have also become champions and creating awareness about the disease in their respective regions.
Prison, most of us cannot transmit the virus anymore. So we are talking about undetectable is equal to untransmittable. Because like for some of us, we have had undetectable viruses for like 15 years. So you see, you can only give out what you have. Like in a church, you give out tithe from what you have, the amount of money you have. So now that we don't have it in our blood system, it's undetectable. We hardly give out. And that's, I think, the gains this country has made in HIV management.
But as the population of those aging with HIV grows, questions abound on how the affected senior citizens can live fulfilling lives. Dr. Lazarus Mumanyi is a technical advisor at NASCOP. He says so far there are more than 10 people above 80 years in Nyanza living gracefully with HIV.
Out of these 1.3 million people on treatment, about 27% are actually aged 50 years and above. So despite also doing so well in terms of ensuring they are on treatment and they are virally suppressed, we have seen that there are other complications that come with aging. One of them is that we have seen that they're actually prone or they're at high risk of contracting what we call the non-communicable diseases. Conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, even malignancies or what we also call cancers and so on. But also over and above that, we have also science has also shown that people who have HIV, they're aging faster than people who don't have HIV because of the chronic inflammation. The virus is causing over time the immune system to activate what is called chronic inflammation. And therefore, because of this aging, now again they are even more predisposed to more conditions at a higher rate than the general population.
Aged people living with HIV are vulnerable just like any other aging person, and they need utmost care. Just as the country is fighting to keep young people alive by reducing HIV infections, the lives of those aging with HIV need to be protected at all costs.
Seen that some of the ARVs that are giving them have some side effects, including effects on the liver and the kidneys and so on. So one of the things we are really asking ourselves, what is that needs to be done to ensure that we don't have these complications. So one of the things that the national program has done over time is what we call treatment optimization. Every time we get a new arrangement that's safer, we put them on that regimen. And so currently we have actually been able to put them on where they're able to swallow 1 pill a day. But you've also seen that there are even now newer drugs, so there are discussions about bringing some of these newer drugs available so that we don't have the complication that we are seeing. No, not really the injectable. The injectable is not yet available in Kenya as a drug. It's available in the West, but now in Kenya, we rely on some of the cheaper generics, which we are able to afford as a country. But we are discussing that as a national technical working group, that in the future, some of these molecules will consider them the injectables, which are they are safer, but also someone just comes on a fewer times to the hospital. So therefore, it means that it's better for them in terms of adherence and so on.
With advancements in medical science, the introduction of antiretroviral therapy and tireless advocacy, the HIV landscape has now changed. People living with HIV now have access to life-saving medications, turning a once fatal diagnosis into a manageable condition. Stories about those aging with HIV is just proof that HIV diagnosis is not an end to life. Beldeno Waliaula, KTN News.